Hey guys, this is Jay here from Gymaware. Really hope you're enjoying Coach Mayor's podcast series so far. Here at Gymaware, we've just released our brand new VBT product, Flex. So I just want to give you a bit of insight into what it is and how it could help you as a coach or athlete. Flex uses brand new laser optic technology to measure barbell velocity, so like Gymaware, it's highly accurate. The device connects straight to your iPhone or iPad. We've had an independent validation study to confirm that Flex is highly accurate. We have loads of awesome features already, and our experienced development team continues to work on software updates each and every day. Key performance metrics are available, including both peak and mean velocity, peak and mean power, distance, bar position and bar path. If you guys want any more information on Flex, velocity-based training, just be sure to reach out, go to our website, check us out on socials as well. But for now, we hope you enjoy the rest of Coach DeMayo's podcast.
The world of strength and conditioning is filled with some fantastic practitioners that are always searching for more. But more what? What are strength and conditioning coaches searching for to better their ability to prepare their athletes? Well, what about cutting-edge information, or a place where you can find different opinions from forward-thinking coaches on what you're doing, how you're doing, and try to get feedback to be better for your athletes? Or what about a place where you'll find like-minded coaches that can provide solid coaching advice and career development for you as you progress through your career as a strength and conditioning professional? Well, this is exactly why we built the Strength Coach Network. You'll have access to exclusive monthly content on top of the sensationally active forum that we have, where you can communicate with coaches all over the world to find those answers that you're looking for to help you be a better practitioner for your athletes. So make sure you hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS, that's strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS, and get your 48-hour trial for only $1. I look forward to seeing you in the Strength Coach Network. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 78th episode of Outside the Rack, brought to you by Kinetic Performance, the makers of Gymaware. In this show, we're just going to try to dive a little deeper into the minds of the top practitioners in the world of sport performance to learn a little bit more about who they actually are and how they got to where they are today. Today, we are joined by Vanderbilt University's baseball strength and conditioning coach, Chris Ham. Chris, thanks for being on this today, bud.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Fired up to get this down. You know, it's always great to chop it up. But before we get too far into this, buddy, who is Chris?
Who am I? I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a dog lover. I'm a wannabe grill master. I'm a former JUCO baseball player. If you go on Twitter, you'll find enough about JUCO bandits. And actually, I went to JUCO not too far from where you went to undergrad or grad school, I believe. I think we can get into that later. But let's see. A do-it-yourselfer. I'm a fake sneakerhead. I love nice shoes, but I can't afford those fancy ones that the kids wear nowadays, nor would I actually wear them. And let's see, a former triathlete. I kind of given up on that these days, but outside of that, like another random thing like that kind of shapes who I am. I guess that we can start this conversation. I've had a job since I was 8 years old. Okay, so I lived in small town USA. All right, I mean my hometown had like 1,500 people in it. So as soon as they let me have a paper route, the lady hired me. I've had a job since I was 8. So that's led from anything I've done in small town USA to I used to be a property manager when I was at the University of Illinois. So when I was there, I actually carried this is bad, but I actually carried around a pager. So when something happened, like in the apartments, these people would call me at all hours of the night, and I'd help take care of toilets, refrigerators, like things of that nature. So I was actually the savior to a lot of sorority girls a lot of times. So well, not only we had these apartments, but we also managed some houses in the area, and a group of sorority girls or fraternity guys they would all be in one house. So they would all try to get ready at once. They would blow the circuit breakers, and I was a savior. When come back, flip the switch, they got power again. They can do their hair and then go out for the night. So that's me, man. That's me in a nutshell. But that's everything outside of being a practitioner. I was I was an athletic trainer. I'm current strength and conditioning coach here, but let's move beyond the professional life here.
Yeah, dude. I think that's funny. I worked at a apartment complex too through college. I was as soon as you could work in the state of New York, I think it was 15, I started working at the deli, and then I picked up a second job when I was in college doing like maintenance work, like just stupid grunt work, like weeding, painting, ripping
Yeah.
carpets at an apartment complex. And it's like it's crazy how like a job like that can like help you with so much other stuff later.
No doubt. No, I mean, we had this time of year called. I mean, you did the apartment thing too. Like, well, in a university town, like there was like this 2 week time frame that we call a turnover. The leases ended for one group, and then the next group would come in, and you had like a window of like 3 or 4 days to get these apartments ready for the next group. So we'd come in, we made do these mass cleanings and paintings, and I managed a small crew. Like I mean, I guess that's how I got started with managing people. Like, so like these kids would show up late, they wouldn't show up to help out and things like that. But that job was awesome. Like, so even before that, I worked construction, like, and I had the FedEx job in undergrad too. So I was the guy throwing boxes in the back of a FedEx truck at midnight in Champaign. So there's some good ones there. There's not a day that I didn't want to quit that job. But going back to the property manager thing, that just like helped shape like how I manage people and how I communicate with kids and communicate with upper management about what's going on. So I mean that's you're right. Like those things like that just kind of help shape how I operate now.
Yeah, man. And speaking about how you operate right now, as someone who has been through a lot of those different kind of hoops when it comes to like life jobs and then looking at it as a big kind of flip in professions, I'm excited to hear this. If you wouldn't mind, describe a learning situation that brought about an epiphany in your career.
What I'll talk about is like I could get in trouble for this. This is a moral and ethical like discussion here. So in undergrad, I mean, this was, I mean, we'll date ourselves here a little bit, Jay, but I mean, I was taking undergrad classes 20 years ago, and athletic training, like we're heavy on modalities. It was ice and stem. It was the ultrasound machine. It was, but it wasn't. Randy Ballard at Illinois like didn't do as much of that stuff back then, and he did a lot more movement and manual therapy that kind of helped shape who I was as an athletic trainer. But back to the modalities thing, when I helped out with football, like as a student, like you did a lot of that. Like you helped manage those treatments. I got into grad school, and it like the modalities, I got so frustrated with them. They didn't get the results I wanted out of them. I wasn't doing enough movement therapy and things of that nature. So I finally just hit the button. I'm like, no, like there has got to be certain parameters that I'm going to have to meet in order to like use these modalities. So I actually like put ice and stem and ultrasound on the on the shelf for a long time. Like there was some deep discussions with my coaching staff about using it for recovery and stuff like that. And like, no, I can do X, Y, and Z to help this guy out versus 15 minutes on stem machine. Like there's a better way to do this. Fast forward a few years, I had a pitcher come in, and he was probably a sophomore. Like he was under the same like ideas that I had. Like we didn't do much many modalities his freshman year, but his sophomore year he was like really adamant. Hey man, we did ultrasound in high school on my elbow, and it felt great, awesome, unbelievable. Every time I did it, I just feel amazing before I pitched. All right, man. Like I think we have better options here. I think we can do this, this, and this. Like let's have. He was persistent. He was very professional about it. I'm like, all right, I'll do it for you. So I did the ultrasound, but not really. I put a little Flexol. I put the ultrasound gel on there. I put a towel over the ultrasound unit, turned the timer on. I never actually turned the ultrasound head on. I just did it, did 5 minutes, timer goes off. Kid gets up and he goes, holy smokes, I feel amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm like, okay. All right. And we did this for, I mean, we probably did like once a week for like 5 or 6 weeks. I didn't tell the kid for like years later. But like the epiphany for me was the buy-in that somebody has for something and the impact that that has going forward. Does that make sense? Like the mentality of like, this is helping me out, even though there's not much going on. Like, but like he's in his mind, he is sold that this is the key that helps me perform. And as a coach, and that helped me later on as a coach, like moving on, that was probably the most difficult thing coming into this position as a performance coach. Like I was so like science oriented. I had to be like, there had to be a reason for everything, and come to realize that these kids wanted things to get them to buy into those reasons that I was doing certain things. So yeah, like I said, that brings up a moral and ethical thing. Was I doing things right when it comes to treatment? Ultimately, I was doing no harm to the kid, but mentally and emotionally, the kid felt stronger after that 5-minute therapy session, and it worked for him. So, and he ended up playing okay. But that just made me reconsider the modalities and everything like that, and like what I needed to do to help define the reasons why I do certain things. A long-winded answer for my epiphany there, but
Hey, the greatest training effect may actually be the placebo effect, man.
I mean, it has to be in the back of your mind. I mean, we have like long training sessions in the fall, and in the back of my mind, like you can take the data, you can take how many sprints or accelerations they did during a practice or a training session, and you know in the back of your mind, like, man, that's a lot. But then you have 3 or 4 kids and, hey, what can I do in the weight room tomorrow? Well, here's what we can do. And like, all right, I'll feed this for you. Like we can put a program here together that's not going to, one, put you in a bad position and help you mentally get ready for the next week ahead.
No doubt, man. I dig that. I think that that's something that a lot of people, especially when we're younger, really bang our head against the wall about, right? Is it's like we think that it's our job to make them buy into the program, when in reality, if you just give them the one thing that they are, air quotes, sure works, they'll do everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is, man, my knee feels better when I do these Bosu ball reaches, like you're out 2 minutes. Like,
Yep.
That's the sword you want to lie on? Like, no to that, or I feel better doing this bench versus the other? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm old and I just don't have the temper for it anymore, and I just like let it go. But yeah, dude, I'm with you 100% there.
And you walk into our weight room as organized chaos, and there's part of the reason for that. Those are conversations that I've had with these kids. All right, you're here for a reason. You've had success, and you're here at Vanderbilt baseball for a reason. You're skilled, okay? Is there something that you did in your training in the past that is a must? Like, I have a pitcher that has a teammate, and it makes me cringe every time he does it, grab his wrist and basically try to pull them behind his back and above his head. Like, it's, as an athletic trainer, you're going, absolutely not. Like, no way. Like, don't do this. But he's done it his whole life. It's a mental check mark for him going, yep, did that, good to go. And it's like it's an assessment for him too. Like, that was a little tight today. I might have to do this, and this before I get on the mound. So yeah, that's why you'll see the chaos, because there's always this little piece of something that, like, yeah, I got their attention. Like, ooh, he's listening to me. Like, he knows that I need to do this particular single leg exercise versus this. I mean, as long as it's like not this complete outlier of a thing that like completely disrupts the training session for everybody. Like when I have 10 guys, like, yeah, let's have a discussion. I mean, that's what I'm here for.
No doubt, man, no doubt. But in order to get to that position, you've had to be someone who's been willing to ask a lot of questions and to dig a little deeper. So this is actually, I'm fired up to hear what you got here, bud. If you could ask one question and you know you're going to get the answer, Chris, what would that be and why?
Jay, man, I wanted to go like philosophical on this. You want to bring it back to training, like that. So, I mean, I wish I had like the genie in the bottle thing here. Okay, like can I rub the bottle and ask for 3 of them maybe? Um, Ultimately, for me, the one question that I would love to know the answer for, and this is more like personal and life and things like that, like how I'm going to be perceived as a dad. All right, and like when I'm long gone, how are my kids going to talk to? How are my kids going to talk to me? Like, how are my kids going to talk about me? Like things of that nature. Like that's where my mind goes initially with that question. Now, if you go to training and stuff like that, I don't have one. I can't answer that like assuredly. Like I've rephrased the question that I always ask as an athletic trainer, like, do you feel this in your hamstring, or do you feel this in your shoulder? Do you feel like I've rephrased that and gone, where do you feel that? And I know I'm going to get, I know as an athletic trainer and as a clinician in the weight room that I'm going to get an answer that's going to steer me in the direction where I either need to make a different cue or like I need to change the exercise. So like that's probably my training side of that, the question that you want to get out of me. But I want to go back to like the philosophical thing. Like you have conversations with all these bright minds like in this, like, and I kind of went back and listened to a few of these, and like some of them go training, some of them go different routes. But like me being from a small town, and like, have you read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
Yep.
Like the 10,000 hours, like what ifs, like the exposures that I had as a kid, and the exposures that the Canadian hockey players have at a young age. Like it's completely different. Or Bill Gates, like Bill Gates went to high school with one of the first computers in the country. Like, so like his exposure to that, and like I know you watch, probably if you watch Queen's Gambit, like the exposures that the lady had with chess and how that shaped her mind, and like the chunking, the learning, and things of that nature. Like, I'm just curious, like what if like I was exposed to different things? Like where would my path lead me? Like is that an honest like question? Like I mean, I
Yeah,
know
it's almost like the butterfly effect, right? Like if you were to go back and like if you were to go back and choose your own adventure book, right, and go to page 46 instead of page 52, what would have happened at the end?
right. Those are like things like me, like what shapes, like, and when going back to the father thing, like, am I exposing my kids to the things that they need to be exposed to? Like you always see these like kids and skateboards when they're like 3, like, what if I miss the window of time? My daughter's like the greatest piano player ever, and I never set her in front of a keyboard. Like I go down that rabbit hole a lot. Like I don't know, maybe, but like I just want to be as a dad, I want to offer like I just want to offer the opportunities to her to like let her choose that route or choose her own story, or like maybe opportunities that I never had. I've been here with snack time.
No, I got you. And I think that that second part of the question is very interesting, because I think that's almost just basic human nature, right? To sit here and every now and then kind of just look back and say, what if? And I don't think people necessarily do it in a negative
No,
fashion, right? Like, I think that there's almost like that self reflection can be a positive learning experience if you're able to take a step back. Yeah, to be honest, so like for me with that, right? Like, um, it's funny we're talking about this now, but like I've been posting a lot of stuff recently more about investing, things like that, right? Because when you're in your 40s, all of a sudden you realize you're like, wow, I've worked a lot and I don't got much. Um, and it's like maybe all these young coaches need to listen and, you know, maxing out your 401k or your 403b or whatever your pension or whatever the school provides you or the business you work for provides you, that's not enough, right? Like there's other things you need to keep in mind. And, you know, obviously Instagram and Snapchat, if people are on that, I don't understand that part, but you know, like they make people think that like the fake it till you make it is the way to do it. And, you know, I think a lot of us got caught up with that. You know, a lot of us 80s kids, you know, or 70s babies and 80s kids and, you know, 90s teenagers got caught up in that. And being, if there was something you could turn around and look back at, it's like understanding that for the young coaches listening, understanding that when some of us older heads talk about things like this, it's not us saying, do. It's us saying, yo, we messed up and you can do better for everyone in the future if you look at some of these things. Like, dude, when I was 25, if you would have talked to me about like S&P 500 index funds, I would have looked at you and been like, bro, you might as well speak Mandarin. Like, what are you talking about? Right? Like,
right.
but now it's like, dude, if you're putting at 20 something, putting a couple $100 a month into an S&P 500 index fund that typically is going to get you 10% return. Now all of a sudden these kids, when they're 50 years old, are going to have a freaking huge egg chilling for them. Whereas the rest of us are still going to have to coach till we're 65. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine how awful I'm going to have to look if I'm coaching another 25 years, but it's like, I'm already decrepit. I mean, shoot, but like, what's going to happen, you know? And I think that these kids look at us and they're like, shut up, old man, in a way, instead
No,
of being like, well, maybe we should listen because he messed up.
and it's, I'm not even talking about the self-reflection in a negative capacity. Right? It's like it makes you reconsider those things that you were just talking about. Like, oh, yeah, like maybe I can help one of my guys out, like, and make him understand, like, oh, like, and just, I mean, I know our guys have advisors and stuff like that, but have conversations about the budget, man. Like, hey, you got your per diem. What are you going to do with that this week? Well, the new Xbox game's out. Okay, just like try to reframe them. Like, okay, you ever think what you do if you hang on to that, or something, like just start a conversation like that, because like that's one thing that we're getting better at within our organization here is teaching those life skills, like trying to have conversations with that. I know we as performance coaches, we try to talk sleep and nutrition and things of that nature, but like things outside of the sport, things outside of like, I mean, yeah, we always want to talk about like well-being and things of that nature, but like like those conversations to make them think outside of baseball. That's one thing I try to do more often is have conversations with these guys not related to baseball, and that, and going back to what I said earlier, like having those conversations allow those guys to be a little bit more open with me and willing to have discussions about training or my personal thoughts about performance and things of that nature. But I mean, that goes back to relationships, like we talked about earlier.
No doubt. And I think that what's really been cool with all of those things and I think that too, this is kind of unique, Chris, for us. And this isn't to kind of talk down about other schools' kids or anything, but like we have like more academic institution type kids, you know, Vandy and Richmond. It's more higher academics, I guess you would say. But like these kids sit here like when we're on a bus or whatever, and they see like Oh, he's reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. What's that? He's reading Richest Man in Babylon. What's that? He's reading Psychology of Money. What's that? It's like, then all of a sudden, like, hey, can I take a look? And then that gets into better conversations. It's, you
Yep.
know, I mean, shoot, like these kids now are even like they're sitting here telling me like all this stuff that's going on with this Robin Hood fraud and all this, and it's
The
like
GMC, the GME, and the AMC, and
yeah, and
yeah,
now it's like whatever, what's it, Deutschcoin or whatever, and it's like, and I'm like
I got one of my our player development guy is big into that, so he's been going, but like even like the business side of sneakers, like I talked about earlier, like I want to be a sneakerhead, but like at first, like my young mind goes, "Hey, you just pay how much for those?" And he'll tell me and be like, but in the back end of the conversation, he goes, "But guess what? I can sell these for twice as much in like 3 months." So like, yeah, like I'm looking at the sneakers going, "Man, you just blew your per diem." But like the fact that the kid has a conversation, like in the back of his mind going, "I can make money off these." Like the business side of his mind's going like, "Oh, there's an aftermarket for these shoes that I'm wearing right now. If I keep them nice and clean, I can post these on the internet and be like, make some good money off of it."
yeah, there's a lot of people that are playing chess when we think they're playing checkers with a lot of that stuff.
No kidding.
Wow, look, I've got a couple guys too that are like that they'll like, I mean, they're super sneakerheads, and it's like they've got stuff, and they'll be like, yeah, I might wear these for a game or two, and then clean them up, make them sure they'll look good. I'll hold on to them for another 3 months, and they'll be worth 3 times as much.
Exactly. So at least they have that side of it. So I mean that goes back to a little bit of what we were talking about.
Totally, man. Well, listen, dude, with all of that going on and all the craziness of the world we live in, this especially now going into baseball season, this will be hard. But when you get the chance, like, what's Chris's escape?
Okay, now I thought about this, and I personally believe that like meditations is awesome. All right, and as a father of two, pardon my language, batshit crazy kids, like I'm not afforded the time to like have that 45-minute meditation session that like you see these people that the CEOs of companies that start out their day and things like that. Great, good for them. That's awesome. If you get afforded that time to self-reflect and do things of that nature, good, do it. Awesome. But I don't. Like, so I think personally, this is my own belief here, that we all meditate in our own way. Okay, we talk about in baseball, we talk about the breath, we talk about the exhale, we talk about being where your feet are currently. Like, so like when you sit at your desk and you have that moment where nobody's in the weight room, I got automatic lights here and the lights have gone out, and like there's a moment I just close my eyes and I take a deep breath. Like that's like an instantaneous, like a reset. Okay, like that's how I think. So like I think about this like in the moment. All right, like how do I escape? One, being present, your breath, being where your feet are at. All right, and then two, that's in the moment. That's kind of a daily thing. I think we all meditate in our own ways. All right, weekly, as odd as you might think this is, Jay, and I mean I know I got good lighting here. Like I get a haircut every week. That's just the time for me to be like, all right, this is me. Like the lady that's cut my hair for like 2 years, like she knows what I want to talk, and like she'll be times that she'll sit in the chair and like we don't say anything. So like I mean that's a weekly thing, and like a monthly. I mean I don't take trips monthly, but we have the baseball thing and stuff like that. So I personally I try to stay up on I try to read something that's absolutely not even remotely close to performance. Like is it a book about bourbon? Is it a thriller book, or like is it a Stephen King novel or something of that nature? Just something that I like that's my time to be like, no, this isn't baseball, this isn't performance related, this isn't like how do I become a better human or anything like that. Like something just completely off topic. And then like And then yearly, like as we get back, like there's one place that my wife and I have gone for years now, and we don't fit in at all. Like we always go to Asheville, North Carolina, and it's a place that when we first got there, we sat down at Tupelo Honey. It's an awesome breakfast place there, phenomenal food. And the lady asked us what we were going to do that day. And I was like, oh, we'll probably check in, shower, do what that. And she looks at me and she goes, why are you going to shower? There's nobody showers in Nashville. Like it was completely like, I was like blown away. Like, and then you go like across the street, there's belly dancers in the square and like stuff like that. Like that's not me. Like I don't fit in Asheville whatsoever. Like when we started going there. So like to go to Asheville and like put my phone away, go in the mountains, hang out with my wife, like that's like our true reset. Like even now, like when we get the opportunity to do that, like that's our true escape there. Just because like Jay, like the my eyes like were enormous when this lady told me that we didn't that nobody showers. Like, so, but like just I don't fit in there and everything like that. So it's amazing just to walk around and experience that. It's nothing remotely close to what I'm used to.
Asheville is definitely on the list of beercation towns. Like that's and yo, people sleep on Nashville too, man. Like Bearded Iris, like there's some great ones out there, but like Asheville's like that the hippie town. People now, I think, in the beer snob community, which I'm kind of turning my back on doing 75 hard a second time, like they kind of turn their nose up because Wicked Weed sold out to Anheuser-Busch.
Yep.
But I've heard that like that town is just like it might actually be like people like refer to it kind of like as like the next Austin almost.
I've heard that. I've heard that lately, but you're right. Like that was, I mean, we were going there before we kids, so like that was our lure to Asheville. Like there was all these breweries. We were gonna walk around, outdoor scenery and stuff like that. And there's no like you're talking about Wicked Weed, like Green Man Brewery is out of Asheville, and it originally started out as about the size of my office right here. You walk in and it was a hole, and now it's like this massive, like they call it the Green Mansion, and just watching that place like kind of explode, like the years that we've gone there. But still, it's something that we enjoy every time we go.
That's all. Like so, when we go to Brooklyn, my sports med guy and I, like we always go out to Other Half, and it was the same. So Other Half, like people say now, it's the best brewery in the country, like best, like what do they call them now? Microbrews or whatever, craft brewers, whatever. Like they all have cool names, just like strength coaches. We all have these different names we call ourselves. But dude, it was in this like decrepit building in Brooklyn where we would walk to and turn the corner, and you're like, we're getting jumped. Like it's not like, are we gonna get jumped? It's like there's no question mark. It's a period. They would have like you would see the gas vials that they would like turn like to check it. Like it looked like at any moment there were two cats that lived in the building. Like at any moment the thing was just gonna fall down on top of you. But it was like the best product I've ever had.
Yeah.
And we go back there now and it's just like it's expanded and they're like distributing all over the country, and it's like these guys are doing it all themselves. They haven't had like all this, like they haven't been bought out yet, and they're still making like top shelf stuff. And it's like, yeah, we have one here that never started as well. We have one that started pretty small and grew, and they're having a little harder time with the productivity because when you change, it's not scalable, the product.
Yeah.
And then we have another one who started a little bigger because of the guy's track record, and just like they scaled bigger faster, and they're just crushing it. And it's like, it's really neat how something so simple in thought process can be so elaborate in fabrication and build so much around it in that small community.
I mean, you're talking about Asheville, and I'm reading reading about bourbon and like how they're like selling and the marketing behind it and like where this stuff actually comes from and the labels and like, yeah, you're talking about something like simple, like that's basically four ingredients and time. And it becomes this elaborate, like wholesale, like massive, like vision and what you're trying to sell, like the image and stuff like that. That's where I'm at right now. It's and like just exactly what you're talking about, like something that simple that can grow that big.
So cool, man. It's so cool. But nah, Asheville's definitely on the list, brother. But nah, Chris, man, truly appreciate your time. This is awesome stuff. And I can't thank you enough for spending the time and being with us again, man. It's great to see you, and I'm glad you're doing awesome.
I appreciate it, Jay. Thanks for having me, bud.
Yeah, man. Cheers. We'll be in touch soon.
All right.